The sound of my name made me freeze. Lena? I turned around slowly, the sunlight flickering across the pool water, half blinding me. And there he was, Ethan Hayes, the last person I expected to see. The last person I thought I'd ever want to see again. He stood by the gate, holding a coffee cup and that familiar crook smile that used to undo me. My heart stumbled. 10 years. 10 long, silent years. Hey, he said softly. You still drink lemonade before noon? I blinked. You still walk into people's yards without asking? He laughed. That same laugh. The one that once felt like home. I tried to steady my voice. What are you doing here, Ethan? He glanced around, pretending to admire the flowers by the fence. Moved back last week. Bought the house next door. Didn't realize this was you until I saw your car. Of all the houses in this town, he had to move next door to mine. I crossed my arms. That's convenient. He shrugged, pretending to play it cool. But his eyes, those deep hazel eyes, held something unspoken. Something cautious. Didn't mean to intrude. Just saw you by the pool and thought I'd say hi. Hi, I said flatly. The air between us was thick, charged with everything we never said. The sun kept shining. The water kept glittering, but it all felt off. He took a slow breath. You look different. In a good way. Different happens, I said, trying to sound light. So does moving on. He nodded, a faint smile flickering. The kind that hides pain. Yeah, I'm working on that. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The only sound was the soft hum of summer. Then, like he couldn't hold it anymore, Ethan said quietly, Lena, I didn't come here just to say hi. Something in me braced. Then why are you here? He hesitated. Because I found something. Something that belongs to you. I frowned. What are you talking about? He reached into his backpack and pulled out a small envelope, yellowed at the edges, sealed but old. My name was written on it in my own handwriting. My stomach dropped. Where did you get that? It was in one of the boxes from the storage unit, he said. The one we shared after college. I never opened it. I thought it was a bill or something. But when I found it last week, I saw your name. I took the envelope with trembling fingers. The paper was soft, worn. I remembered it now. The letter I wrote the night he left town. The letter I never sent. You kept this. I asked. He nodded. I didn't mean to. It got packed by mistake. But I figured, maybe you'd want to read it now. My pulse quickened. 10 years of silence suddenly felt too heavy to hold. I looked at him, then back at the envelope. What made you come back? I whispered. He looked away toward the water, where the sunlight danced in tiny sparks. My dad passed away, he said quietly. The house next door was his. I didn't know who lived here until this morning. The weight of his words softened something inside me. I had known his father, a kind man who used to wave at me every morning. I'm sorry, Ethan, I said. He nodded. Thanks. Then, after a pause, guess life brings us full circle, huh? I didn't answer. My hand still held that old envelope, the one that carried every word I never had the courage to say. Ethan watched me carefully. You can open it if you want. I'll go, give you space. But before he could turn away, thunder rolled in the distance. The first dark cloud slid across the sun, and the wind picked up, rippling the pool's surface. Looks like a storm, I murmured. He smiled faintly. Just like old times. Remember how we got stuck at that lake party in the rain? I did. Too well. That night was when everything between us changed and when everything broke. I looked at the letter again, heart racing. My name, written in my own handwriting, stared back at me like a ghost. I can't read this right now, I whispered. He nodded. Then keep it. Maybe it's not about the letter anymore. He turned to leave, and I watched him go. Every step pulling the past closer instead of farther away. But before he reached the gate, I said, "Ethan." He stopped. I hesitated. The words tumbled out before I could stop them. "There's something I never told you." He turned slowly, rain beginning to fall in light drops, soft and steady. "What is it?" I looked down, clutching the envelope. "You weren't the only one who left that night." His face changed. Confusion, surprise, a flicker of something deeper. "What do you mean?" I met his eyes. I had my own secret. A crack of thunder echoed overhead, shaking the air between us. The letter slipped from my hand and fell onto the wet concrete, ink beginning to blur. And that was how it started. The day I thought would be calm, simple, quiet. The day the past came back, carrying the truth I'd buried for 10 long years. That night, sleep didn't come easy. Every time I closed my eyes, the sound of his voice echoed back. I didn't come here just to say hi. The rain had passed, but it left behind that heavy stillness, the kind that makes you listen to your own heart too closely. The letter sat on my nightstand, the edges curling from where the drops had hit it. I didn't open it. Not yet. But my mind wouldn't stop opening the past door it began 10 years ago. Our first summer at the university. I was running late for orientation, arms full of books, when someone shouted, "Heads up!" and a frisbee smacked right into my face. When I looked up, there he was, laughing, breathless, completely unbothered. "Sorry, that was meant for my friend, not a perfect stranger." I remember glaring at him, pressing an ice pack to my cheek later in the cafeteria. He'd found me there. "Least I can do is buy you coffee," he'd said, sliding into the seat across from me. "You survived my terrible aim. That's worth celebrating." It started there. Small jokes, long study nights, shared takeout boxes and late drives to nowhere. He had this way of making everything feel lighter. I was the planner, the overthinker. He was the dreamer. We balanced each other, without even trying. "Promise me something," he'd said one night as we sat on the roof of our dorm, watching the lights blink across campus. "What's that?" "That you'll never stop chasing the things that make you feel alive, even if it means leaving me behind for a while." I laughed. "Why would I leave?" He smiled at the stars. "Because you're brave enough to." We both meant it back then, that life would stretch wide before us and we'd find a way to fit inside it together. But life isn't that simple. After graduation, I got a job offer in Seattle. He wanted to travel, to design homes across cities. We promised distance wouldn't change us. It did anyway. Calls turned into texts. Texts turned into silence. And then one night he called from an airport. "Lena, I got the contract in London. It's everything I wanted." I tried to sound happy for him, but my voice cracked. "That's amazing. I'll come back," he'd said. "Soon, I promise." He didn't. A month later, I wrote that letter, the one still sitting unopened beside my bed. I never sent it. I couldn't decide if it was love or pride that stopped me. Maybe both. Now he was back, and everything I'd locked away was awake again. The next morning, I found him standing by the fence, coffee in hand, as if the last 10 years had never happened. "Couldn't sleep either?" he asked. "Not really." He smiled faintly. "Figured. You used to stay up all night before big presentations." Same look in your eyes now. I leaned against the railing. "This isn't a presentation, Ethan. It's a mess." He chuckled softly. "Yeah, but we were always good at fixing messes." I wanted to ask him why he'd really kept that letter, why he'd come back. But instead I said, You never told me what happened. Back then. His expression changed. The humor faded. You mean why I disappeared? I nodded. He exhaled slowly. It wasn't supposed to be that way. I thought I could come back after a few months. But when I did, you were gone. Your number didn't work. Your apartment was empty. I moved for work, I said quietly. You could have emailed me. He hesitated. I did. Every week for a year. My breath caught. You what? I sent them to your old address. The one you used for our project files. They never came back. So I thought... He stopped, searching for words. I thought you didn't want to hear from me. I shook my head slowly, my voice small. I never got them. The silence that followed was thick with years we'd both lost. He rubbed the back of his neck. Guess the universe wasn't done playing with us. For the first time, I saw something different in his eyes. Not just regret, but relief. Like he'd been carrying that weight all along. I smiled faintly, though my chest ached. So all this time we were both waiting for ghosts. He nodded. Seems like it. The wind moved through the trees, and the pool shimmered with late morning light. For a second, it felt almost peaceful again. Then I said, Ethan, there's something else you don't know. He looked at me, cautious but open. What is it? I swallowed hard. That night you left, I wasn't planning to stay here either. He frowned. You were leaving too? Yes, but not for work. I hesitated, my heart hammering. I was leaving because of something I found out. Something about us. He stepped closer. What do you mean, something about us? Before I could answer, the sound of a car door slammed from next door. A woman's voice called out, Ethan? You forgot your folder. A tall woman with a clipboard waved at him from the driveway. She looked polished, confident, like someone from his world now. He turned, caught off guard. Thanks, Mia. I'll grab it in a second. I froze. The name hit me like cold water. Mia. The same name he used to mention in his old travel stories. His former design partner. The one I always suspected he loved. He turned back to me, but my expression must have said everything. Lena, it's not what you think, he started. But I'd already stepped back, pulse racing. Seems like we're both still good at keeping secrets. The letter on my knitstand suddenly felt heavier than ever. The sun was already high when Ethan stepped onto my porch again. I didn't expect him so soon. My heart thumped in a way I hadn't felt in years. I didn't mean to barge in, he said, holding a coffee cup in one hand, and that same hesitant smile on his face. But we need to talk. I nodded silently, stepping aside to let him in. The tension between us was like electricity, old and familiar, impossible to ignore. About Mia? I asked, keeping my voice calm but sharp. He froze. Yeah, about her. I wanted you to know. I crossed my arms. I want to hear it, now. He took a deep breath. Mia isn't what you think. She's my business partner. That's it. She moved here a year ago to help with my design firm. Nothing else. I studied his face. His eyes were sincere, a little anxious. You're sure? He nodded. I swear. The relief that washed over me was immediate, but so was the ache. Years of doubt, years of imagining the worst, didn't just vanish. I should have told you, he said quietly. But I didn't want to ruin what we had left, even if it was just memories. I blinked. You think there's anything left after 10 years of silence? He stepped closer. I don't know. But I know I didn't stop thinking about you once. My chest tightened. I wanted to step back, but my feet refused. You really didn't. He shook his head. Not once. The honesty in his voice made me want to believe him. But the past still hung between us, like a thin mist that didn't quite settle. Then why didn't you come back sooner? I asked. Keeping it steady. He ran a hand through his hair. I wanted to. Every year. I even drove past your old apartment more times than I can count. I just didn't know if you'd want me. I didn't, I admitted, my voice catching. Not when you disappeared without a word. Not when I thought you didn't care. He flinched, and I hated myself for seeing it. I did care. I cared more than I should have. But I thought I had lost you before I even got the chance to explain. I swallowed, remembering the nights of silence, the unopened letters, the empty apartment. It had shaped me, changed me. Yet here he was, standing in front of me. And suddenly all that time apart seemed smaller, more fragile than I remembered. We moved to the porch steps, both silent for a moment, watching the pool shimmer in the morning sun. The quiet wasn't uncomfortable. It was loaded with something neither of us had words for yet. Then he spoke, almost a whisper. Do you remember the first time we came here together? I smiled faintly. You tried to impress me by jumping off the diving board and ended up belly flopping into the shallow end. He laughed, a genuine laugh that made my chest ache. I was trying to be brave, to show you I wasn't afraid of anything. And yet you were afraid of losing me, I said, surprising even myself with the softness in my voice. He looked at me like he might finally say something he'd been holding back for years. I was, he admitted. Every day I was gone. I took a step closer, drawn by the honesty in his eyes. Ethan? He hesitated, searching for the words. Lena, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if we can fix what we lost. But I do know I've missed you. And I don't want to pretend anymore. The weight of his confession pressed on me. My heart raced, my breath caught. All the memories, all the years apart, suddenly collided with the present in one sharp, undeniable moment. I've missed you too, I whispered, though my voice sounded foreign to my own ears. He reached out slowly, like he was afraid I'd disappear if he moved too fast. Do you think we could try again? Even if just to see if we still fit? I looked at him, searching his face for any hint of doubt. There wasn't one, only hope, tentative but real. Before I could answer, the mail slot clattered. A letter slid onto the porch floor. I bent down, picking it up without looking at the envelope. My hands trembled slightly. When I read the name on the front, my stomach sank. Not mine. Not the one I expected. Ethan followed my gaze. Who is it? I swallowed hard, my voice barely audible. I don't know yet. But I think it might change everything. He frowned, taking a cautious step closer. Change everything. I didn't answer. My eyes stayed on the envelope. Something about it felt like a new chapter, one we weren't ready for, yet couldn't ignore. And just like that, the calm morning by the pool was gone, replaced by tension, memories, and the first spark of something that could either burn bright or break us completely. I held the envelope tightly, the paper warm from the sun. My hands trembled, not from the weight of the letter, but from what it might contain. Ethan watched me. Quiet, calm. Do you want me to open it first? He asked gently. I shook my head. No, I need to do this. I ripped the seal and unfolded the paper. The handwriting was unmistakable, mine, from 10 years ago. That this wasn't the old unsent letter. There was another note tucked inside, folded neatly. My eyes widened. It wasn't mine. Lena. Ethan's voice was soft, careful. I read aloud, my voice catching. I know why you're leaving. I'm sorry. I never meant for us to end like this. The words stopped me cold. They were from him. From Ethan. That dated 10 years ago, the same night I wrote my own letter. I I don't understand, I whispered, my heart pounding. He stepped closer, voice steady but raw. I never left because I didn't care. I left because I thought I had no choice. What do you mean? He took a deep breath, staring at the pool, at the sunlight glinting across the water. That night, the night I left, I found out my father was seriously ill. He didn't tell me, but I overheard the doctors. I had to go back home. I couldn't tell you. I thought if I came back later, you'd understand. I blinked, the weight of 10 years pressing down. You never told me. I tried, he said quietly. I sent letters. I called your old number. I thought you were avoiding me. I pressed my lips together. The tears I didn't expect pricked my eyes. I never got anything. I thought you didn't care. I blamed myself. He shook his head, stepping closer. No, Lena. That was never your fault. I never wanted you to feel that way. For a long moment we just stood there, the air thick with years of misunderstanding. The pool reflected our faces. Two people shaped by distance, silence, and wrong assumptions. I can't believe this, I said finally. All this time, we were both waiting for something the other didn't know about. He nodded. Yeah, that's what hurt the most. Not leaving, not going away, but losing you because of silence. I swallowed. And now? He looked at me like he might finally say what he had been holding back. Now, I don't want to lose you again. Not for anything. I'll wait. I'll listen. I'll do whatever it takes. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to throw myself into his arms and erase a decade of pain with one touch. But the truth had also opened doors I hadn't imagined. Ethan, I whispered, there's still something I need to tell you. About me. That night. The real reason I almost left. His eyes searched mine. What is it? I hesitated. It wasn't just your father. I found out I had been offered a job overseas. A real opportunity. I wanted to go. I didn't tell you because I thought it would hurt more if I left on top of your leaving. He froze. Then slowly, a small smile tugged at his lips. So we were both planning to leave at the same time. And somehow, we stopped talking instead. I laughed softly, a sound tinged with disbelief and relief. Yes, exactly that. And all this time, we've carried ghosts. He reached for my hand, his thumb brushing over mine. Maybe it's time to stop carrying them. I looked down at our hands. 10 years of missed chances, of misunderstanding, of silent longing, all condensed in that touch. But before I could answer, my phone buzzed. I glanced down. A text from an unknown number. Ethan, I found the plans. Meet me today. Important. I looked up at him. Who is that? He frowned, reading over my shoulder. I don't know. I didn't expect anyone to contact me like that. A chill ran through me. Just as we were beginning to reconcile, a new question, a new uncertainty appeared. I swallowed hard. Lena, I think there's more we don't know yet. About the past. Maybe even the present. He nodded, his eyes steady but alert. Then we face it, together. I nodded, gripping the envelope like a lifeline. The truth had broken everything, but it had also opened the door. The sun glinted across the pool. The air was heavy with possibility. And just like that, the summer that was supposed to be simple and calm had turned into a story neither of us could have predicted. The text still glowed on my phone, but I didn't touch it. I sat beside Ethan on the porch, the pool rippling quietly below us. Golden sunlight reflecting off the water. He reached for my hand, warm and familiar. Whatever that message is, he said softly, we'll handle it. Together. I looked at him and felt the weight of everything. 10 years of distance, silence, and misunderstanding finally lift. The letter in my hand from years ago had brought us back, but it was the honesty we shared now that made it real. I can't believe how long we carried ghosts, I whispered. Yeah, he said, squeezing my hand. And all we needed was the truth. We spent the morning talking quietly about the past, the missed opportunities, the things we'd both wanted to say. Every word was careful, deliberate, full of meaning. No theatrics, no drama. Just two people reconnecting after years of almost at one point. I laughed softly. Remember that roof at college? I thought you were completely crazy jumping off like that. He grinned. I was, but I wanted to impress you. Funny, isn't it? Some things never change. I shook my head, smiling. Some things do. We've changed, but this feels right. Just then, my phone buzzed again. I glanced at it. Another text. Ethan, the plans were a mistake. Nothing to worry about. I looked up. Looks like it was a false alarm. He chuckled softly, relief in his eyes. Good. I don't think I could handle any more surprises today. I leaned against him. Me neither. But maybe some surprises are worth it. We stayed like that for a while, listening to the soft hum of summer. The wind stirred the leaves, the pool glimmered, and the world outside seemed distant and unimportant. Then I remembered the envelope in my lap. I unfolded the letter inside, the one I had never sent, the words I had written all those years ago. I handed it to him. I never sent this, I said softly, but I want you to have it now. After everything, he opened it carefully, reading the words I had written when I thought he had abandoned me. His expression shifted from surprise to a quiet smile. You were always honest with me, even when I didn't see it, he said. I shrugged, smiling faintly. I just didn't know if it mattered back then. He reached over and tucked the letter into his pocket. It matters now. Every word, every feeling. We both laughed quietly. It wasn't the laughter of relief only. It was laughter of rediscovery, of realizing that the bond we shared had never really broken. I think, I said, that we finally learned something important. What's that? That timing doesn't have to be perfect to make something real. Sometimes it just has to be honest. He nodded, and willing to wait, to try again. I looked at him, really looked, and for the first time in years, I felt completely certain. I didn't care about the years lost. I only cared about this moment, this connection, and the possibility of everything ahead. The pool shimmered beside us, sunlight dancing across the surface. I picked up a small, smooth stone from the edge and skipped it across the water. 1, 2, 3 skips, each bounce echoing softly. Ethan smiled. A symbol? I nodded. Yeah, a new start. A ripple. Something small that can carry forward. He took another stone and skipped it too. Our skips collided in the middle of the pool, creating tiny waves that spread outward, overlapping and blending. Perfect, he said softly. Just like us. The afternoon faded into golden light. We stayed on the porch, hands intertwined, hearts quietly full, letting the past settle like dust while the present shone clearly before us. Finally, I leaned my head on his shoulder. No more secrets, I whispered. Only truth, he replied, voice calm and steady. And then, as the sun dipped lower, and the water reflected the last light of day, a gentle breeze carried a scrap of paper from the pool deck. I picked it up. It was another note, small and handwritten, just a single line. Love never forgets. I smiled, turning to him. Ethan brushed a strand of hair from my face. Seems like even the universe agrees. I laughed softly. Yeah, even the universe. The pool rippled quietly under the evening sky. And in that moment, with the sunlight fading and the air warm, I realized that love, patient, honest, and waiting, had finally found its way back to us. And as I held his hand, feeling the steady warmth of the man I had never stopped caring for, I whispered one last truth to myself. Some things are worth waiting for, even 10 years.